But yeah, anyway, thanks for being here, Jack.
No, I appreciate it. I got a lot of pressure on me seeing the name of it being the greatest podcast in history, whatever it was. So I got a lot to live up to. That's
Well, I just did that because I know that's your kind of banter, and that's how you'd be approaching it anyway.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, true. I do like to try and be the best I can be. Anyway.
a lot of our clips, Jack, have had like mad views this week, and just loads of people just like insulting us, and it's quite funny.
Oh, okay. Like what? What are they saying? Tell me everything.
I don't know. It's just the internet's like, just people like with wacky comments about things, trying to sort of give themselves a bit of dopamine by people liking their comment because their life is shit.
Never had it. Never had it, mate.
No,
Nothing but positivity my way. You
you're too happy, mate. That's it.
know?
No, but how's life? How have things been?
Ridiculously busy, mate. I've worked 60 hours this week. So, yeah, it's been a busy one. Changing people's lives, you know. That's what I do. I just had an email as well. I'm going to be a Final Four in the Make a Difference or Make a Change Award for BBC. So, this mug might be on TV soon.
He's here for 2 minutes and he's already name dropping awards.
Yeah, well, I got the email about an hour ago, so I got to get it in.
I've got a couple of like formally questiony things that we could go into, but I feel like we'll just start on one of them and see where it branches and ask you like different questions. And I want to go for like you as an athlete, you as a coach, and then you as a guy, and mainly from like a mindset perspective, because that's sort of what we're about, and then we can bounce.
Yeah.
But we'll start with you as an athlete because that's sort of how I knew you initially growing up. And I'll start broadly with like, what does being an athlete mean to you, and what is give me a little bit about your approach to sport, especially when you played at like the higher levels in the professional league. So what's your, like, as I like to call it, your athletic philosophy, but a fancy one?
My athletic philosophy. Okay, so I guess one of the first things that I bring in as a coach, as a player, as everyone really, because I take a lot more as a coach now, is you've got to enjoy what you do. Like, you've got to have a good time while doing it. And I will always outwork the person in front of me or the person behind me, right? So I'll always, if I tell someone I'm working out once a week, I'm working out 4 times a week, actually, in secret kind of thing. So I know I can take that next step, that next level. As an athlete, going into games, I've always had that mentality of, I've got a chip on my shoulder, I've got something to prove here. As someone that's slightly shorter than your average Joe, I always sort of go in and go, right, I need to make sure that I'm quicker, I get to that spot a little bit faster, so I can make sure that I hit you harder, rather than just, oh God, okay, you can work towards what you want to do. I will dictate what the tempo is and what's going to happen for sure. One of my sort of inspirations, I guess, was Kobe Bryant. So making sure that mentality of, I've got to outwork everyone else, and I will never ask you to do something that I'm not actually doing myself. So if I'm telling you, right, you need to do this, or you need to screen up for me, which everyone does.
Actually, you screamed for me the other night.
Yeah. It shocked me, to be honest. I did almost pass out while I said it.
I was shocked as well. I'd never heard the sentence "I'll screen for you" come out of your mouth in the 10 years I've known you.
So in Germany, I did a lot of screening. I was the screen guy, the pick and roll guy. So I did it for 3 years essentially. So now someone else can do it. Basically,
you were screening for like one of the best shooters of all time, so it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a different dynamic to the game as well, because your screen is usually your big, or quite often your big guy, and obviously I'm not the tallest person in the world, so I had to work on my inside game, getting that quick release rather than an actual post game as such.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot I want to ask more about sort of Germany and stuff in a minute, but talk to me a little bit about that chip on the shoulder that you mentioned, and sort of, you said a little bit about being a smaller guy, but how old were you when you noticed that there was this chip on your shoulder for sport? Was that there before you started basketball, or did it then?
Well, I've always been around sports, always. Even since before I started wheelchair basketball, and my disability progressed while I couldn't physically play able-bodied sports. So I've always had that. But growing up, my parents have always said to me, "Prove them wrong." So if someone says, no, you can't do this for whatever reason, say your height or your ability or anything to do with that, I've always gone, hold on, what? How can you tell me what to do? Like, I'm going to prove you this is the way to do it, and I can do it the right way, rather than just going, whatever, I'm going to take a back seat, you might be right, and then, get nowhere.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And then that was then what, like a big source of fuel?
Yeah, and like I say, when I was younger, it was always someone with a disability couldn't do these things or couldn't get to the level that maybe someone who the able-bodied counterparts could. I was like, well, no, I can do it all. I'm sound of mind. It's just I walk weird, or I've got a funny leg, or anything like that. And my spine doesn't quite align properly. I'm all there, kind of thing. And I'll prove to you that I can make that next step.
So did you always have this mindset, or have you just kind of evolved as you played the game?
In terms of basketball, do you mean, or in terms of everything?
We can go everything.
Okay. Yes, I guess. Like I say, I've always grown up with that can-do attitude. My parents are hard workers, always had my back along the way, kind of thing, and always been like, yeah, okay, if you want to do it, you're going to find a way to do it. And so I've always had that in the back of my mind, and sport is a great outlet for that, and showing people that you can do these things, and a great platform to show others, and as well as bring them along the way. I've always been around team sports as well, so I've always had the mentality of, okay, I can better myself, but I can bring my teammates along the way, rather than, it's all about me kind of thing. Yeah. It takes a town or it takes a village to build something, rather than just one person. One person's going to come up with that idea, but if everyone can come along with you, it's going to expand and make it even better.
And so did then, like, talking about having like the proving people wrong thing as fuel, did that then change as your career as an athlete progressed? Like, because I can imagine there's a point where you have proved certain people wrong to an extent, and then that no longer pushes you, or that no longer feels like that fire is burning as hot, and then maybe motivation has changed to something different. Or did it remain consistent, or did things like adjust across time as you were in different like teams and contexts and things like
that? That's a good question. I've always had that, because even when going through the GB program, I've always had that, you're a little bit too short, or I've always been the second guy in growing up, kind of thing. I remember you speaking back along about being the slightly shitter version, kind of thing, in one of your podcasts. Like that's the same. I grew up with that as well. I've got an older brother that's bigger than me, and stronger as well. And going through basketball as well, I was always the second guy or the third guy within the teams. And so I was like, okay, cool. I can use this. I can keep going, kind of thing. And I haven't got as much pressure, so I can build myself up behind the scenes. And when going through to GB, it was always, you're a bit too short or getting cut for whatever reason. So I was like, all right, I'll go abroad and make a name for myself. And I was there for 3 seasons. And it was good fun. Yeah, it was great. And proving to them that, yeah, okay, I'm not going to make a certain team that a coach, maybe I don't fit what that coach wants. So I'm going to go and make a name for myself somewhere else, kind of thing. Because, like I say, at the end of the day, the coach is going to make a decision. It's the same as what I do, in what team you're trying to build and what you want out of it. And yeah, it's just not taking it as an insult. Don't hold it as a grudge. Just use it as fuel to go, right, okay, I can take that next step and go a little bit further in a different direction.
Yeah. I think feeling like the shit one is actually, like, even though it's horrible at the time, I think it's a competitive advantage later on. Because you can even think about this in different life contexts. Like, if we've all been to like English school, and there are always these cliques of people that just seem to, like, everything goes right for them in that scenario. Like, everyone likes them. Even the teachers seem to be all over it. Do you know what I mean? And they just win at life so early on. like their genetics or something, or just like their family's situation or whatever. Their natural ability just means they excel in certain ways. But I actually don't want that, because then you peak so early in life.
You like being an underdog.
Yeah.
You like the underdog story. I like it.
No, but yeah, it's true. I feel like you can peak too early, because then, like you say, it doesn't build that like resilience. Yeah,
I like that word.
Do something.
That's a good word.
That's it. It's a great word. But like, just to still pursue something, even if you are a shitter, because great things come from shit.
That's a quote of the day, I think. Maybe that's your little snap that you need to keep it in.
Oh, trust me, Jack. There'll be a lot of clips going out, mate. There'll be a lot of clips.
But yeah, no, it's exactly right. So it's a competitive world we live in, and you always got to have that drive to better yourself. And I still have that now, and I think I always will. But at the same time, I'm content with where I am. I think that's the sort of part I am in life in general. So, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. I've experienced a lot of great things. I've got, a wife to be. I've got a house. I've got cars. I've got all of this going on. I run a club as well, so it's really cool. But I'm also like, okay, I can have more here. I can expand the club. I can, have ducks, which I now have. So there we go.
But now you've kind of like, in some people's eyes, you would say that you've made it. So what is that keeps you going, that keeps you wanting more?
I think in terms of the club side of it, especially, so like a lot of my experiences through basketball and as an athlete, I'm at a point now where I want to help people become better. So I want people to, be the best that they can be. I want them to be independent. I want to give them an outlet, because life's hard, and making sure that they can come to myself or come to the club as an outlet to play sports and enjoy themselves and have a good time. And life, as much as it is difficult, it's great at the same time. You've got to enjoy yourself while you're at it, while you've got it. And if I can help people along the way that's what I can do. That's what I'm happy doing. Like I say, I'm happy and content with where I am now. But if I can help people along the way, that's always good for me. It helps with the ego, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a difficult thing for me to balance, right? I think it's like being ambitious, but also being happy. Because there's an idea that me and Jacob have talked about before, that we've got from a podcast that we both listen to, that this guy basically argues that it's weird that a lot of the time people will sacrifice what they want in order to do the thing they think will get it. So for example, they will like put all their time and energy into like work or some pursuit so that they can be happy in the future when they've done a thing. But what they're doing by doing that is actually sacrificing that happiness. And I find the balance between like you say, wanting a bit more but also being content is really tough. But you think you're at a place where you have that more now, and like, did you struggle with that when you would like, would you say there when you were like coming up in inverted commas, you were as happy as you are now, or has that happiness come later on when you're like a bit more older and more mature and you can look back and reflect and see things with that sort of wiser eye?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm mature. I think that's not really a term I would describe myself as, but I've always been someone that's looking on the bright side and always been a positive guy. Like, I've known you for God knows how long now, since you were a wee kid kind of thing. So it's, I've always had that of, you've got to enjoy the little things and you've got to make sure that you're enjoying what you do. And, I think people would be lying if they went, I've gone through easy times the whole time kind of thing, because I haven't. We've all had difficult times, trying to sort of identify where you want to go and what you want to do. Like, for example, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a pediatrician. Like, that was what I wanted to do. And then as I got older, I realized, okay, I could do that, but that's not my skill set. Like, that's not really what I can do. And, sport is always what's been around. So I was like, okay, how can I help people? How can I get to that next level? And building yourself up And like I say, I thought I was going to be an athlete the whole time. Like I spent years abroad kind of thing. I could have gone back. But then a different door opened. I came back for the off season where we got the job offer at RGK. I was like, cool, that would be great kind of thing. I can make a difference and change people's lives in that aspect as well. So it's really, I aimed to do something different, but came back in a different door, and it was really a good outlet in terms of that. And now I run the club I started at. So it's a really cool circle in that as well, where I run the Exeter Otters, and that's the team I started with when I was 13. And seeing all the athletes and guys develop as people as well is really why I do what I do and what keeps me motivated and keep going, for sure.
And what do you think holds a lot of people back from having that sort of bright side way of thinking, though? Because it's a rarity, isn't it? Like, what makes you different?
What makes me different? I can grow facial hair quite well. I think that's one thing.
Yeah, most adult males can do that, Joe.
Yeah. All right. I got freckles, maybe. I don't know.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, some people hear someone like you talking like that, I actually get annoyed by it. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people, even I mean, me and Jacob have experienced it. Like, we're pretty happy. I think I would say we're above average happiness for like boys our age, right? And some people just get pissed off by it. Like they don't, and they don't have that same like, just like tilted perspective on things. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have an answer of why there's that difference?
I think people get too enthralled in what other people are doing, and seeing other people successful makes them jealous. Like there can be a jealousy aspect of that, and in turn you get all of that negative in your head where you're like, oh, I'm not quite good enough. Why is that person doing that thing without me? You know, I've experienced it. I think everyone's experienced certain aspects where they do find that annoying. But yeah, that's an interesting question, and it's not something that I've really thought about in that. In all honesty, I sort of plod along and do my own thing kind of thing and make sure that other people come along the way.
Maybe like you might have used that jealousy as a motivator, whereas because we all get jealous, and maybe I don't know how else do other people deal with jealousy and just hate?
I don't know, because even when I was sort of an aspiring coach, and when I was younger and sort of tried to start coaching people, you always get that if they're slightly older than you, wait, that kid's telling me what to do, you can't do that. And just grinning and bearing it and sort of going, this is the direction and this is the right way of doing it. I'm happy to have that conversation where like you say, no, this is why this works rather than that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, is the best answer. Well, not the best answer, the worst answer, but
it's the truthful answer there. That's what we want, man.
Yeah, it's I've always wanted to bring people along the way as well. So I want to be successful, and I want to build a career and build everything that I want out of life. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I have to knock people down along the way. I want people to come up with me and sort of go through this experience together. And like I said, people are weird, I guess, is the best answer to it.
What does so? I'm interested in a certain aspect of sort of the athletic philosophy that I'm sort of like trying to develop as I'm coming up, and I've had conversations like this with people on here, and also I've made videos about it and stuff. And that is the idea of having an ego, okay? Because the only, like, when I've spoke to people and you've come up in conversation, the only negative thing that ever comes out is he's a bit up himself, right, with you. And that's what, well, obviously, because I know you, I know that it's just, you say these kind of things like, I'd never screen for anyone, yada, 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 this kind of thing. And there is this ego there. But now actually, as I've come maybe over the last year in basketball, I've realized that you need an element of that. And I've struggled to work out where the line is between having that sort of self-confidence and that self-belief, and then other people I know, not you, that go too far, and it's actually like quite slimy and horrible to be around. So talk to me a little bit about that, and how, like, do you think you have an ego in sport or in life? Do you think it's needed? And like, how do you keep it in check if it's necessary?
So, I mean, I appreciate you saying not me in particular, so that's quite good.
I don't think you cross the line because I know you, but maybe some people do. But then there are people that might think I have an ego because of the things I say.
Of course. I think an ego is needed. I think everyone's going to be good at something, can know that they're good at it, whether it's what you do in a job, what you do as an athlete. It's in terms of like, I guess as a basketball player, as an athlete, it's more of the role that you play. So if you're the screener for someone, for example, you screen for me because that guy's the shooter. That's his job. Like, his job is to shoot and draw the defense out so you can get a pick and roll, and then you'll get the layups, or the weak side will be able to get shots, etc. So like, it's more of a role that someone has in the team rather than an ego saying I'm the shooter kind of thing. People take it as an ego thing. That's not. It's just the role they have in the team. You're right. You can always go across the line. I think there's always going to be that balance. So making sure that you don't crow across that line, because there will be someone that's as good as you, if not better than you, and making sure that keeps you in check. And also, I say, if my ego got too far, Haley would tell me off. So that's something I've got, is a wife to be that sort of keeps me in check a little bit with that, because I come out with these really cool ideas and what I can do and how to develop, and Haley's like, okay, it's great to have these ideas, but you need to be realistic about it. Like, you can't put jetpacks on a wheelchair. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. That's against the rules,
Not yet, anyway. Yeah.
Give it time.
Joel, you've like developed more of an ego in sport, right?
Well, then it's like, what do you define? I think what happened is, it's interesting because it's kind of linked to what you said, Jack, about having roles on court. And I think actually my mentality to basketball has switched a little bit, in that I think if you don't know better, everyone still sort of goes out to just create their own highlights and stuff. But what I've realized is, I've played in different environments, especially over this year, is like, if I have a low pointer on my team, right, that just doesn't mind if they don't touch the ball, but they will create opportunities for shooters and higher pointers, right? I love that player. And I think they're unbelievable at the game. The annoying thing is that what they do doesn't come up on the stat sheet. Whereas players like me and you, who in the teams that we play in have to shoot the ball a lot, or like that's our role as in the classification we play. And yes, we might have the points on the stat sheet, but that is just one part of the game. And if people say to me, "Oh, Joel, great shooting," I'm like, well, that's my job. Like, if I was a 1-pointer and I scored 30 points, then you go, wow, like, great shooting. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's like, if I scored 20 points in a game, yeah, it's good, but like, that's what I'm there to do. So do I have an ego? I think the issue is, like, you have to, I used to go into games and environments and training environments thinking like, oh, this person's better than me, this person's better than me, this person's better than me. And that's what hurt me. And that was like we were saying before about growing up as the shitter. That is the mentality that you just have ingrained in your brain. Whereas I realized that is not healthy whatsoever. You can't go into something thinking that people are better than you, even if they are. You can't go into a game thinking you should be on the bench, even if you should be objectively. You can't go into a shot thinking you might miss, even though, of course, you might miss. And I think the difference is where the line is crossed, and I've said this before, is when you don't think you can improve. Like, you think you're like the best of the best, which very few people have, but like people who are too ignorant to like take advice from anyone. I think that's where the line is. But I realized that I didn't have a lot of confidence growing up as a player because I was scared of having too big of an ego and being that guy that no one likes. But in avoiding that, I swung the pendulum too far down the other way, where I didn't believe any of it was possible. Like I was doing it, like I played casually, like I trained, but I didn't actually like think, oh wow, I could do this, or I should be in this room, or I can aim for that, if that makes sense.
But John, now that you've kind of got this ego and put it into your game, is there anything that's bad about it?
I think I'm more blunt with people.
But is that bad?
I don't know. But like I see the game in a different way of like if I'm working with someone and I understand that in this situation I should take the shot, then I take the shot. But also there are certain people where I'm like, no, I will screen for you, or that in this lineup I play a certain role. And I think that's actually a big switch that's happened in my brain over the past year in basketball. It's like you said it, Jack, people have roles on court. And when you go into an environment where everyone understands their role, the game just becomes so much more enjoyable to play. It's all like we become one organism then. It's not just people passing the ball when they have to, and then everyone trying to jack up the shot to like impress the coach or like just show what you can do, or for your own little highlight reel that you'll post on Instagram or whatever. Like it's actually you work for each other. Do you know what I mean? We've sort of digressed a little bit, but I don't know. I think the ego only hurts. It gets rid of people that don't rate you, but they didn't rate you anyway. So why would you care what they think?
Yeah, it's that difficult one really, because like going back to sport and things like that. When you go into a team atmosphere, right? So say yourself as a shooter, as a scorer, it's going to draw a lot of attention, right? So you get your pick and roll, you maybe get the weak side seal kind of thing. Your last one ends up with a layup on the offside. Maybe he hits 3 or 4 in a row. That's great. That's 8 points. 8 points gone. But then now they can't cover, and maybe they're going to hesitate jumping you, which in turn gives you wide open looks. So it all works in tandem in that respect. So you are right where the scorers get a lot of attention, a lot of the attention in that respect, both on and off court. But you're ensuring that your team succeeds in what you do, and it's the same as in work, in life, etc. Everyone's going to have a role in what specific job that they do, right? So it's no different to that. It's just because it's it's a sport rather than work that is seen slightly differently in terms of the ego that you have. Let's say it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a thing, I guess. And there's no harm in having confidence in yourself.
So were there some differences sort of along those similar lines then when you went from playing like the basketball you play in England, which was still like some of the highest level we can play in this country, to then going to play in the German league where you're paid, and this was there a different mindset approach at training and stuff? Was it a lot more like we have a job to do because it is our job? Like Saturday's game is like the work objective of the week, and we have to, it's like you clock in at this time and you do the work you need to do. It's not just like a casual participation thing anymore. And then, tell me a little bit about that switch.
Yeah, so exactly what you say. So you go from training maybe once a week together, where you get five or six in a training session, to then you're training 4 or 5 hours a day. You have to look after yourself, make sure your nutrition's right. But it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in terms of creating family, creating friends all over the world, kind of thing. So it was great in that aspect. But yeah, you are there to do a job, and you want to win, and you want to, you have that added pressure because you are there, you're paid, and you're told you are there. So you have an added pressure there, and a lot more people come and watch, I guess. But
did you have decent crowds in Germany?
Yeah, for sure. So like when we went to Wetzlar and played Landil and Balls, like we'd have probably 1,000 people come to watch us. So like the crowds are great, and I think the mentality is completely different, because here it's sort of more of a, oh, well done, you play wheelchair basketball, to no, mate, you're an athlete, you're here to do a job, you're here to win. And I'd say it was great in that aspect, because I saw what sport can be like at the highest level, and see what we can do. And that's one of the reasons why I came back anyway, was to go, right, okay, I've seen that at the highest level. Now I can bring it back and help my community build and grow and see where we can go with it. Be big,
Mm. Did you get booed at Landil?
Depends when we've won. We did win a few times.
Really?
Yeah, we won. The first time we won, we beat them by 25.
Mad. To put this into context, Jacob, Landil are like the wheelchair basketball version of Bayern Munich. So like they're like the big dogs in the German league. They're like one of the most set up clubs in the world. Like they're always in the Champions League, Final Four, and all that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah, like it must be like I bet they had all the drums and shit as well. And like, oh mate, that's the kind of shit that you live for. Like,
oh, was it? Honestly, the atmosphere was insane. Like I say, it was interesting though, because we obviously went into the games underdogs, but we all knew what we had to do. We had scorers in Dirk Passiwan, one of the best scorers ever to exist. We knew he was going to draw so much attention, but we're all scorers as well. Yeah. So like say I think he only had 13 in that game, but we had Mariska Bayer on double digits, we had D on double digits, we had myself with like 5 points or something. So my role wasn't a scorer in that game, but if I was wide open, I'm taking those looks kind of thing. So, adapting to every situation and making sure that you can be the best that you can for your team, and making sure there's going to be distractions there. Like there's loads of people watching you, right? But you're there as a family, you're there as a team, and those guys are who you're there for, not necessarily to get out or anything like that. We're there to do a job and win, kind of thing, and prove to them that actually we can compete here and we're just as good. We're just not as big of names, for example.
Did you zone out this booing crowd?
I zone out a lot anyway, but I blame that on my disability. No, it's
because added pressure, right?
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were there, and I like showcasing what we can do. So it wasn't necessarily that I blocked them out more. It doesn't matter how many people are there. I'm still going to do what I do when there's no one there, kind of thing. I guess is the way to phrase that.
Mm. And so what was a typical like week when you were professional, in terms of like how, like on a weekly basis, how much did you train? But what were those sessions like? Was it like some sessions you just come and you guys would shoot together, but then also you'd have team sessions where you go through specific game plays and scrimmage with purpose? And then did you have video sessions, and how much free time did you get? I'm on a personal level, I'm just interested because obviously it's something I'm going to do in the future, but yeah, what was that lifestyle like?
So very different to over here, of course. So I was lucky where I wasn't the only first yearer, and so we had another rookie called Ryan that we literally were next door neighbors. So we went through that journey together. He was American, I was English, so sort of it helped in that aspect when we were both learning the language, where we could just speak English to each other. So we trained every day. So we had second team session was Monday. Then Tuesday we had a 3-hour condition session. So we'd have I'd go to the gym in the morning, then come back, chill, have food or whatever else, and then we'd have 3 hours conditioning on a Tuesday.
3 hours of just conditioning for 3 hours?
Literally just condition. Like, that was it.
Just pushing up and down in different ways?
Yeah. You think my conditioning can be bad on a Wednesday night? Like, that was next level. Then Wednesdays was first and second team, where we would scrimmage basically for an hour and a half, because we'd have numbers. We'd have a lot more people where we could scrimmage and work on different lineups, etc. Thursdays, we'd then sort of game plan. So we'd have a video session, then go into our 3-on-3 stuff, our little set plays, things like that. And then Friday would be a similar kind of session, / shooting as well. And then Saturdays we'd play. So it's pretty full on, for sure. But it's, like say, you're you're training sort of 15 to 20 hours a week, I guess. It's not a full-time job. So you've got a lot of downtime where you can hang out together, have food, chill. And that's what created that family environment and sort of builds that rapport within a team where you can start fighting more for each other. For sure. It's not just the on-court stuff that people need to focus on. It's the off-court stuff as well, especially as an athlete.
Yeah, mate. So, and was moving to a foreign country from just being like a little lad from Devon, like a sort of daunting thing, or was you just sort of like, right, let's do it, come on then? Hello.
So I did a lot of research. So this is one thing I always recommend people to do is do your research on whatever team you're looking at going. So if you get offered the contract. So me and Haley, we decided to go out for a few days just to visit, see what it's about, see the team, etc. So we can see what everything is. And they were so welcoming and so positive, and they create that great atmosphere. I was like, okay, cool, I can get on board with this, and I already know I can really see what I'm getting myself into before I've even gone out there, kind of thing. And I asked a few ex-players as well that I knew that had been out there before about their experiences there. So I was prepared, I guess, is the best way to just to ensure that I knew what I was getting myself in for. A little bit more than what you can do. It was definitely daunting because, I mean, I lived at home until then. So I was like, I didn't just pick up and go kind of thing. I was moving my life. I was going out on my own kind of thing because Haley didn't come out the first year either. So I was literally going out on my own for that first time. But I had already met them, and I'm quite a talkative person. I can get used to, I've got quite good social skills in some ways that I can talk to someone, get to know them, and I can be that conversation starter and make sure that it's less awkward. And I was definitely, I'd lie if I said I wasn't nervous, because there was expectations then. As soon as you went into that club, you were like, you're here as an athlete and you've got to work hard and you've got to have the right ethos. And so it was added, I was nervous in that aspect. But I'd say as soon as I got there, played our first game, and then that was it, kind of thing. I was sailing then.
Yeah. Like, this is also a question for me, and I'm interested. Was there any players in that first season that you played against and you were like, whoa, it's that guy?
Do you know what? The one person I had that was Dirk. So Dirk Passiwan was the person that I'd always looked up to. I aspired to be like, as a 4.5 pointer that's only 5'6". I was like, damn, that guy can play basketball, and I want to base a lot of my game around what he does. And to go out there and learn under him was like a huge honor for me. And like I say, we went out there, I met him, trained with him. I was like, holy crap, this guy is good as a player. But like when you're just training, you cannot stop that man. Like that, it's impossible. Like it's unreal. And then
yeah, but like, first time, sorry to butt in, but like, what was Sheffield like with Dirk Passiwan? Because like, I mean, Jacob, to give a context, this bloke has been, I mean, he's getting on now, but he's been the top scorer in the German league pretty consistently for like 18 years or something ridiculous like that. Like, he's one of the best shooters, out and out shooters in our game. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the quickest guy, but like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So like, when you were doing shooting drills, like spot shooting first to 10 or whatever, surely he just doesn't miss most of the time.
And it was annoying, honestly. The drill that I do where you have to hit 2 in a row from each spot, right? I got that from him, and he'd do all 22 positions in about 3 minutes. It was unreal, honestly. What took the longest part of that 3 minutes was people getting his rebound, in all honesty. But it was just amazing to see in person, like that someone that great could be, and how long he's been doing it for, and learning off of that guy. But I'll never forget the first time I expected it. I went over his house once, the first time ever, which I was quite nervous about anyway. I'm like, this guy's invited me over his house. This is great. I expected German Shepherds. I expected all these scary stuff. He had 2 cats and he was wearing fluffy socks. Like, that says it all. He's one of the nicest guys you can ever meet. And, like I say, I learned so much from him as a person in general as well, because he works as well. He's a busy man. He's always there to help each other out or help other people out. And that's one of the guys I really looked up to in wheelchair basketball, for sure.
No. Yeah. So did he sort of like coach as well? Because you look at some clubs where, well, like when you think of the Trier Dolphins, right, you think of Dirk Passiwan. So they might have had a coach there that was called the coach, but like it's kind of like Bill Bowers, like Asier Garcia's club. But like there could be a coach that stands there and nods, but like Garcia runs the show. Was it like that with Dirk?
Yeah, so he was the player coach, like, especially. So my first year and second year, he was the out and out player coach, right? So he did make all the decisions, he'd do all the timeouts, like literally everything at the same time as being a guy that scores 5,000 points a game, which is unreal to think about, that he had so much in his head going on as well as scoring. And then the third year, we had an assistant coach come in to help him out as well, because
His hand out what?
it's a lot. But I can't say a bad word about that man, to be honest. Like, he was so good at what he did, but also so good off court as well. So he looked after every single one of us in every way, everything that we needed. That all it needed to was a phone call away, kind of thing, and he'd be there to help us out. It was great. There was one. So I used to drive over, and I was the English guy, so I drove on the wrong side of the car as well, which was always great. But there was one time it snowed a lot. And obviously in England, when it snows a bit, everything closes. In Germany, it doesn't, because they're so used to it. So I texted him saying, it's training cancelled today. And he was like, no, what are you playing at? And I said, well, my car's not equipped for it. And he said, all right, I'll come pick you up. And then he just picked me up and went to training. Just little things like that, where he was always there for you. And I'll always be the same with my players. If they text me or rang me and said, Jack, I've got something going on here. All right, I'm 20 minutes away or half hour away. We'll sort it out. We'll get you sorted. No matter what you need, I'm there to help you out. And he was one of the people that was always there. And that's what I've learned off of.
So then, not just as a player, then you sort of picked up things from him as a coach that you then taken into like your newer era now, where you're mainly a coach and stuff, which is cool. And that's sort of, well, let's pivot into that a little bit and think about moving away from sort of you playing as a player and to the sort of era you're in now. Like, what are the key, maybe from more of a mental perspective in the way you approach the game, what are the key differences between being in athlete mode and being in coach mode? I mean, I know you kind of do both at the same time, but I'll see what you say.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've learned just as much as a coach as what I ever did as a player. So I actually started coaching when I was 18.
Coaching Joel Clifton at 9 years old.
Yeah. My first ever player to coach was you.
Really? No, probably not.
I don't know. That's a long time ago. But you're probably one of the first, in all honesty. But as me and Jordan then took over at that point as coach players at that point, and I really started to learn that there's a lot more to basketball than just being an athlete or being a player. There's there's the outside stuff, there's the off court, there's developing people, there's all these other aspects that you need to think about. Even little things like substitutions, timeouts, like that's a lot to think about. And to ensure you can get the most out of people is always maybe a challenge, but also not. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. You've lost me for a second, but it's always been a great challenge for me, is to bring people along the way, and that I've always had that as a player. Though it's the difference between the two. I'm not really not really certain on that because I've had the same mentality as both a player and coach, and also I'm a player still. But the development of the team we've got now, from the start of the season to now, is something I'm really proud of for every single person there. And I've learned along the way myself of, okay, I can create that extra pass. I can, if that person seals for me, I'm going to pass it out because I'm not really a post player. That kind of thing. And to ensure that everyone's involved is always a great part of the sport, really. You got me thinking on that one.
What's it like seeing the development of each other in the sport over the last 10 years?
You mean us? Or you mean? Oh, right. He means me and you, Jack.
He means as in Joel.
Well, and you, Jack. You've changed.
As in the development of Joel. Jeez. Okay. So, oh God, he was the quiet little kid in the corner kind of thing when he first started. And, to see him grow is really something that I get that weird proud dad moment. It's really weird because I get it a lot with the youngsters we have now that, okay, great. Like I'm more than happy you being an athlete and going down that route, but there are other aspects where you can be a good person and you can ensure that you're going in the right direction. And I think Joel's an epitome of that, really, and bless him.
Don't inflate the ego, Jack. Oh, I'm blushing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm here for. I'm a good hype man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Joel, same question.
Same question. What about Jack?
Yeah, you probably don't remember me when.
No. Look, to be honest with you, Jacob, I'll set the scene for you. When you're an 8-year-old and you join a basketball team, you don't know that the world outside of that team exists. Okay, so all I knew was the players at that club, and there was Jack and this other guy. They were similar ages, and they were like the two best players there. So then, for your 8-year-old self, that's your first role model, because you don't know that there's leagues in other countries. I never watched a wheelchair basketball game before. I was just some kid with cerebral palsy that just rocked up and they were like, oh, you can catch a ball. Okay, come to our session then. Do you know what I mean? That was literally it. So, that Jack was like one of the first role models. So if he hadn't been there, maybe I wouldn't have been able to see what a better player looks like. I think if you start out and all you know is Div 3, are you going to go above Div 3? You don't know, do you? Unless you sort of grow out and see the other parts of the game. And the sad thing is, geographically or just because of circumstances, some kids don't get that opportunity. So, and then when you sort of went abroad and stuff, that was a whole nother thing. I didn't even know that pro leagues existed. And then it was like, oh, he's going to do that as his job. That's pretty cool. And the development sessions we did when I was an absolute stinker. Do you know what I mean? That lays the groundwork for everything. I remember us doing shitty little passing drills, and the amount of patience you must have had when couldn't even do anything. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and it's cool seeing you as you're a pro man now. You're getting married. I reckon kids are on the way soon, and I get to be Uncle Joel and meet your kids, and
Uncle Joel.
That's it. It's crazy, but it's nice, man, and that's just going to keep going. And I think what I love about our sport as well is because it is big. It's one of the biggest para sports. Because it's a para sport, it's also a community where everyone pretty much knows everyone. So if I go abroad for 10 years and come back and play casually in the English league, I'll probably play against people that I played against in under 15s when I was 13, because they'll still be just knocking about playing. I bet you get that feeling when you see people that you played juniors with that still play in leagues and stuff. It's mad.
It's a really fantastic community to be part of, and you've knocked on the head there, where it's always great to see people's development. So I always like to catch up with people, see how they're getting on. Always, as you know, I'm quite into knowing how people are getting on, and seeing them successful makes me happy. And I've never been the person to go, oh, you're being successful. No. You can't do that. That's making me sad. I've always been the opposite of that, So it makes me happy to see yourself going this is where I want to go in life. This is what I want to do, and I'm gonna build and make sure I can get to that spot. And I say, I've experienced so much I've had the opportunities given to me where some people won't necessarily be able to. So, I very quickly got into the GB pathway, which then in turn set me up to go abroad kind of thing, and representing the Southwest essentially was really a cool thing. I never got the opportunity to play for GB, but that doesn't mean I can't help people along the way in order to do that. And let's say some of the guys and girls that I've coached are now at Paralympic level. And I'm like, this is fantastic. I love that so much. And, seeing people successful in what they do is always a great feeling, I think, anyway.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. What do you think, if there are any things that like most people or some people get wrong about being a good coach, and like misconceptions, like maybe ones that you had when you first started or that you see other people doing? And
I think sometimes people forget that you're not just building a player, you're building a person. So, especially when people start out young, you're there, exactly what you say, you're there as a role model. So these guys are going to look up to you in certain ways. And if you don't keep that in the back of your mind, where you're like, these guys are going to listen to every single word that I say and everything that I do, it can put them in the wrong direction. And like I say, it's always that balance again between building them as a player and pushing them and making sure that they're doing everything right in that aspect, but also like, what are they doing outside of basketball? Like, are they successful in school? Are they doing well? Are they doing all these other parts? And I think that's where people maybe get a little bit lost at times. And like, as a coach, you're always still learning. So like, I don't know everything. I don't know certain aspects. I don't know other bits and bobs, and I'm not perfect. And that's okay, because no one is. So I can always go to another coach and say, look, I wasn't sure on this. Like, what do you think about that? And have that conversation, rather than just going, I'm the coach, I'm the guy that knows everything, and having that I'm above mentality. I've always been more of a leader than a boss. So like, even as a player coach, I'm still training most days, or a lot of days, as well as working, as well as doing these other things, because I'm telling other players to coach, or other players to work out and make sure they're fit and come to training every week, like that kind of thing. And especially in this, the world we live in now, where social media is out there and everyone sees everything, you need to make sure that you're leading by example, rather than just going, I need you to do this kind of thing, and just sit back and tell them to do it. I think that's another aspect for sure.
Joel, do you reckon you'd ever be a coach?
Maybe. I feel like I need to at least put another 10 years in first. I don't feel like I'm too focused on being a player, to be honest, to start thinking about things like that. Like, even just being on the sidelines and watching teams stresses me out when I'm not playing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Jack, how come you started coaching at 18?
So I had a lot of great role models as coaches. So I had Hadj Barnia, Jem Browning, but her husband Mike, just to name a few, Paul Bounden as well, which Joel will know, Lee Ward, all these guys.
Gods amongst men.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been that person again, to try and build people up and make sure that they can access the sport, and they can be who they want to be, and help them along the way. So yeah, I've always been someone to build people up, and I think that's one of the roles that really stood out to me, was being a coach, and I can direct people in that direction and help them out along the way. And that's always been, like I say, one of my ethoses. So I guess that I've also been aware that when you do your coaching qualifications, and when you go through that route, it makes you a more rounded player because you can think of more bits that can come with being a player. So that was another motivator for me to go down that route, was this can make me a more rounded player as well.
Yeah. I want to sort of pivot now towards like you as a guy in your life and your
Me as a guy, God.
and your thoughts and your values and things. And I think that you might disagree, but I generally think that in life we go through seasons where certain things are more important than other things, right? And you can look at that in terms of how you develop age-wise, and you go through school and then whatever after that. But I mean sort of in terms of what the focus is in that life. So for me right now, it's like I need to get my degree and I need to become good enough to go abroad, and I need to sort of grow the YouTube channel and the content I make there. They're like my three big things. And then all those three together become a springboard for whatever else I do in life. And I wanted to ask you, what season of life do you think you're in now? And what excites you about this season?
Oh, God. So I would love to be a father. I've always had that. I've always been like, I think I would make a great dad, hopefully. And I can go a long way. And at the moment, I've got 2 rabbits and 4 ducks that I look after, so close enough. But I guess, like I say, the season's changed, and what season I'd be in, and more, like I say, helping the younger generation build up and, prolong the future. So going back to the club, for example, it's the same thing whenever I create an idea for what we can do and what we can build on is, will it help people develop? Will it bring more players into the sport? And is it financially can we afford to do it? Those are the 3 things that I really always think about. And if it's no to one of them, then that idea can hit the back burner rather than, cool, let's do it. Let's bring more people in, etc. But yeah, I guess my main focus is, I get married this year, so making sure that I am the right person for Hayley in one respects, and making sure that we've got a house and we're happy and content in that respect. I guess I've got a mortgage to pay now as well, and just helping develop others, I guess, is the season that I'm in. I'm in the old man stage, not even 30 yet.
The old man stage, you're not even 30. That's such a you statement as well. Like, you were saying you were old when you were like 23, bro. Like,
I've always had that wise head, I guess. So always wanted to give people advice and always wanted to help people out. And I think that's where that, you're a bit old for your age kind of thing came from. I know I'm not old, but there we go.
No, but I've had that as well. I feel 40, like genuinely, like especially living at uni. I just feel like I don't know. I just find it tough sometimes. Like I just feel like I feel like a dad to my flat already, and it's like,
You see a blue van everywhere you go.
Everywhere, every single day, blue VW caddy, every single day. Whether it's a 5-minute journey, whether it's a 5-hour journey, always a blue VW caddy, everywhere.
And have you seen the people inside that van, or is there always no one there?
There's no driver. There's no driver. I don't really look that closely, to be honest. I just it's just one thing I've noticed the whole time. I think I
love it that this is a topic where Jacob comes alive and like,
yeah,
there's a blue van following you all the time.
He's leant forward as well. That's the thing. He's suddenly like the mic's in there. He's ready to go.
But can we try and think about why is this?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of what could actually be, is there's only a limited amount of cars and limited amount of numbers, and I do a ton of driving, in terms of my job. So the likelihood of me seeing the same car twice is quite high, but it is every day, whether it's a 10-minute journey or 5-hour journey. Yeah.
I think I need to just go around for a week with you and see if this is actually true, and then also devise. I mean, what's your theory behind it?
My theory,
Yeah.
I don't actually have a theory, just something I've noticed constantly. I guess that's more of a Jacob thing to.
What if the plot twist is it's always me driving the blue van,
Oh, that would be great. Honestly, I'd love that.
or just like someone you know, like we've been playing a practical joke on you for months.
I would love that, honestly. I think that'd be fantastic if the whole time it was just you.
How long
The days.
been going on?
Oh, I've noticed it. I don't know. Probably, I noticed it months ago. It's been every day. Like whether it happened before that, I wouldn't know. But for a very, very long time, I've noticed it.
That's interesting.
You're welcome.
Jacob's gonna think about that for weeks, mate. A week. Oh, what a life.
Like I say, I've sent multiple photos to Joel as well. So
Yeah.
it appears.
I'll just get a notification that says Jack Davey sent you a photo, and I'll know exactly what it'll be.
It's
It's like a zoomed in, low quality picture of a blue VW van. Like, I'll be in the middle of a gym session or something. I'll just open it and be like, oh, another one.
Can you show me the blue VW picture?
Yeah, mate, I'll send you one now. If that makes you happy, mate, I'll do that for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
See, this is our Friday night, mate. Here's a picture of loaded VW. Here's the most recent one. You know, I'll send you two. Treat yourself, Jake, mate. You know what I mean? It's been a long day. Anyway. Yeah, Jack, feel free to go if you need to sort of go and sleep. But I feel like you have too much caffeine for sleep. But anyway, enjoy your evening.
No. There's never enough caffeine.
True. Well, within reason, but yeah. I'll see you soon, mate. I don't know when, but I'll see you.
Yeah, that's all right. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully, I didn't do too badly. And I'll
No such thing as bad.
nice to meet you too, Vic. And what's
If a reel gets viral, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Mate, we had one of our videos, Jack, got 100,000 views on Instagram.
100,000.
And it's just people. No, it's me talking about God or whatever. And it's just people just violating it in the comments. It's quite funny.
So it could happen to you.
Yeah.
One of the things, things that they say.
So do you want to hear my theory? And you can tell me if it's shit.
Yeah, go on then.
So basically, people say things like, I don't believe in God. And then I'm like, that is a more complicated idea than you're coming about with. People say that as if like, this bottle exists because I can see it and I can hold it and I can drink out of it, right? And like God, no, I can't touch, see, feel, or drink out of God. So God doesn't exist because I can't physically like manipulate it with my human senses. But I don't think that means it doesn't exist. And the context I put it in is this. I'll ask you this question. Do you have a version of Jack in your mind for the future that you know you could be, that is like the best version of you, and you can visualize him?
Ooh. I guess the answer is yes, because I'm always looking at getting better.
Okay.
So I guess the answer is yes.
So you have this idea of Jack in your head that you this positive version of you, best version of you could be. But that Jack doesn't exist because you can't go up to him and say hiya. You can't give him a hug. You can't have a meal with him. He's an idea. But he actually has an active influence on your life because you try and emulate him, right? And I think God is just like people have sort of just like, what's the word? They've given that responsibility of like a future self they'd want to emulate to ideas like Jesus Christ and God. And it's just their version of like a collective future self they want to be. And that's why I think when people say, does God exist or not? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Do you mean that you can't hold it and pick it up and see it in physical reality? Yes. But does it have a massive impact on your life? Yes. And does it control how your actions are in the world? Does it control how you interact with people if you're trying to be like this Christ figure or this God? Well, yeah. So then it's impacting your life more than things that you would say are actually real. And
so what you're saying is your belief of God is more of an idea.
I don't know if I believe. I don't like. It's not.
So, or maybe not. Yeah. Okay.
It's like a. I try and live my life as if God exists, but that's not some guy in sandals in the clouds. what God to me is the essence of doing good things. And we all have an essence of doing good things. We all know, unless we're a psychopath, that if we stabbed someone, our conscience is not going to feel good. That's God. That's the feeling that you want to do good things. And it doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't have to be real. Things don't have to exist for them to have power in your life. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was a
Wow.
digression, but anyway, yeah, the internet's slamming me for that, but I quite enjoy it. I really do.
Like I say, like they're saying, does that mean that I'm God?
Yeah, you can be God if you want to, mate. Do you know what I mean?
I guess it's more the essence, of them. I guess the only counter thing is obviously the future self that you want to be in your head that you were describing is an idea that you have it for the future that you want to build towards. So then in turn, you're doing that physical thing to edge towards that.
But don't Christians do that for being like Christ? I mean, so I think, right, is I think the things that actually affect our life the most are things we can't actually measure and things that aren't necessarily real. Like, love's not real. Meaning is not real. It's not the same real as like this bottle. It's a different kind of real. It's a real that can't be measured with scientific means, and that's why I think people neglect it. But actually, life is actually more within the things that we can't explain or measure, or with numbers, or we can't turn it into some kind of game, because they're like immeasurable things that, like, for example, right? I've used this thought experiment before, but if I said to you that how much money would I need to give you for me to shoot Haley in the head?
Jesus. No.
There you go.
Yeah,
which means that love is more valuable than any amount of money you could possibly imagine. But just because you can measure money, people see it as really valuable. But you can't measure love. Like, same thing of like, how much money would I have to give you for you to never have peace of mind ever again?
Well, none.
So that means, okay, mind is more valuable than any amount of money you can ever physically possess. And that's why when I get too hyper ambitious about this, I'm like, actually, Joel, did you wake up this morning and feel good? Because that actually is more valuable than anything you'll ever gain.
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that is the right way of looking at it. Jesus. Bloody hell, I didn't realize it was going to get into this. But the counter to that would be, if you came to me and said, Jack, you're never going to have this peace of mind, give you all the money in the world, but it means you can provide and make sure everyone around you is secure and happy, then I'd say yes to it. Or I'd say, give me this amount.
So you would never, you would never experience peace of mind ever again. So constant anxiety.
Yeah, for other people, yeah. If it meant Haley could have peace of mind, then yeah.
That's pretty, I mean, I respect that.
I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But would I give, like, but then am I too selfish? But the thing is, like, I don't know, like, my experience of life is all there is to me. I'm not saying I'm more important than anyone else as an individual, but I'm saying individually we need to look after ourselves. Like,
we go back to the ego talks, right?
No, but like, if my whole life is spent in anxiety, like, I don't want to be here, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be here.
See, I don't really get anxious about a lot of stuff, but I see anxious as, I turn that into passion and excitement, because if you're anxious about something, so say you go into a basketball game and you're nervous or you're anxious about the results or anything like that, that shows that you care. That shows that you're passionate about what you're doing. So it's not necessarily, it gets that link with a bad emotion, right? But if you can turn it around to go, right, okay, cool, I'm nervous about this, but it shows that I'm passionate and it shows that I care. Like, it's the same as when someone gets frustrated in a specific thing they did in the basketball game, right? So say they had a bad turnover, oh God, I should have passed. That says to me that you care. If you came off and you went, whatever, why are you doing this if you don't care about it, So if you can flip that and you can go, this means that I'm heading in the right direction in what I want to do, because I'm worried about the result that could happen.
Yeah. But in doing that, you are returning yourself to peace of mind, which wouldn't be allowed because we've made a Faustin pact and I've given you the money. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, we're going back to that, are we? Okay.
Well, no, not necessarily. But
That's what we were talking about.
Listen, like, I know you want to help other people, but like when you do have peace of mind, you are helping other people by being honest.
Yeah, because it sort of contradicts itself a little bit. Because if you, I guess if you give that, if you offer me that, I'm gonna say, cool, give me the money. I can give it to everyone else, but then I'm gonna go, did that actually help them?
Right, you're gonna because you're in constant anxiety. Yeah. You're gonna be anxious about whether you gave the right amount of money to the certain people, or like there are people you still didn't give money to. What about the kid in Africa that's got no food? And then you're always anxious, mate. You're thinking about how your haircut looks. You're thinking about the time of day. You're thinking about the shoes you wear. Like you'll get no peace of mind ever. Constantly jittering, afraid, in terror of the world all the time. No, thank you. Do you know what I mean? Like. I like the martyrdom route you've gone down of I would sacrifice myself to save the world.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, it's great, but I think I'm too selfish for that probably. I'll help people in other ways. Do you know what I mean?
We'll have this conversation in 10 years' time and see how they feel when you're in your next season.
Yeah, that's true. But that's it. I think I'm in a different season of life. Like I think as soon as I have kids, like, I don't matter anymore. My kid matters more, and that's just the way it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel that with your wife or your girlfriend, Jack?
Fiance, close.
Sorry. That she matters more than you do.
Yeah, I would say so. Because I say I want to make her as happy as possible. So that's what I do. Is make sure she's happy and secure and safe, and she's enjoying what she does. And yeah, I would say that. Yeah, definitely. And, we've been together, so it'll be 12 years now. So we were I was 17. And, she didn't have the best first impression of me, I must admit. But
why?
Yeah, I'd definitely say, like, we've gone through everything together. She knows the best of me, the worst of me. And, she's stuck with me kind of thing. So the best, what I can do is keep her happy, keep her secure, and make sure that she's got a roof over her head kind of thing. So it's always good. And I believe we're going to be great parents. I know that. And I'm happy in saying that. And yeah, I guess that's
like maybe her answer would be the same as yours, that you matter more than her to her.
Well, I should hope so. No, I don't know really. Yeah, I would assume so. But we're a partnership. We're in it together, kind of thing. So
you become one.
Yeah, and I think we have done, to be honest. Like we complement each other really well. And we're both hard workers, and we both make sure that both of us are happy, kind of thing, and we're there for each other constantly. I think that's what a partnership's for. And, she helps with the basketball club. She does all the welfare and safeguarding side of it, the bits that I don't necessarily know the most about. And she really sort of, yeah. Can't say anything bad about her. She's all right.
Good man. Right, boys.
I don't know that. I hope you won't.
We're peeling the layers. We're
delete it.
But yeah, boys, I better go because I do have a training session, but it's been a pleasure.
People might think I'm a good guy.
That's dangerous, that is.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
As long as I sound good, I don't mind.
What does that mean, though? Do you know what I mean?
That means I sound good, mate.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. Anyway,
it's like you just got a question for everything. Yeah, but why?
Yeah, but what does sound good mean, bro? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Like, there was a drill, right? That we were doing, and it was a session off score there, and I was like, right, you need to push 100% this whole time, and you're like, yeah, but what does that mean?
Yeah, because if I push 100%, like, then that caps me, and it means I can never go past that point. So you can't ever push 100%.